Yeah, I'm looking around my garden behind me here, and I can tell that Jack the Rabbit has been at it again. Um, Pretty much all the young plants have had the tops chewed off, and yeah, I'm a little bit frustrated. Um, I guess I'm not frustrated with the rabbit. The rabbit does what the rabbit does. I'm just frustrated with the circumstance because I think what I have to do then is actually like do coverings over these beds. I have to add that to my project list of doing little like hoops and nets and stuff like that over the beds in order to keep Jack out. And in the long run, it'll probably help me kind of keep some pests out as well early on, aphids and maybe caterpillars and stuff like that. But I haven't gone to the trouble of covering beds before, so I guess it's just annoying that I'm gonna have to. I hate it when I have to do extra work because of circumstances like that. But I guess that's gardening. I guess I should just eat it up and say, well, that's why I do this, is all the challenges and figuring out how to overcome them and everything. So yeah, that's what's on my mind now. Beyond that, I've been working steadily on this pergola project that I told you guys about in a previous video, and it's coming along okay. I'll give you a better shot of it maybe tomorrow after I get the rest of the parts up on it. All right, I'll see you. I think I see a calendula over there. These guys are some real powerhouses in the garden. I mean, they're just like non-stop. Yeah, there we go. Here we are on Christmas, and the calendula is blooming right after a frost. Amazing stuff. Well, as you can see here, I got my pergola up, and true to form, I did it my own little bit of crazy way here. I'm hoping to get some some positive feedback on the fact that I put the rafters in upside down. I'm actually put the support beams in upside down too. Upside down of what you would normally think. I just realized this. I was more than halfway through with this. Got the support beams in and half these rafters in by yesterday, and then last night, I don't know, so, like in my sleep, I was like, gee, this is the opposite direction than what you normally see. And sure enough, on my morning drive into the garden this morning, I noticed as I was driving by all the houses in the neighborhood, everyone that had any kind of arbor or pergola or anything like this, they were all going the other way. So leave it to me to be somewhat contrary here. But I did bring my wife out, have her look at it, and we concluded that we liked the look of it. So no reason to go back and redo it. Well, I'll leave it this way. So I think we'll probably paint this, or at least stain it or something. I mean, it's pressure treated wood to try to keep the rot off as much as possible. I put the posts in using Quickcrete, and had to dig the post holes down, dig down in the post holes, and then put the post in, and then put the Quickcrete around it and let that firm up overnight on one of the days, but when it wasn't raining. One of the things I learned, because I had done some projects with posts in the garden 2 years ago, and had leftover Quickcrete, unopened bags. They just come in these kind of like paper bags with a little bit of a kind of a wax or plastic wrap inside, I think. And I had just left those bags of Quickcrete in the shed behind me, actually, thinking that I could use them for future projects. Lo and behold, when I got them out for this project, I found that Quickcrete doesn't save. It had activated itself, even though, I mean, I don't think I'd gotten it wet, but maybe just general moisture in the air had activated itself and turned into solid blocks of concrete. So I have several solid blocks of concrete from Quickcrete bags to get rid of now. From old stuff, and yeah, that's that. So next up on this project, I'm gonna put first I'm gonna look at this back over here. These boards here of this shed, which I didn't construct the shed, so I'm trying to figure everything out, but these boards here are I think they're just they look to me to be similar to like cedar cedar fence boards, or I might be able to get away with doing cedar fence boards. So I'm going to measure that and see if I can replace these, and then potentially paint this up or something. But because they're kind of rotted out toward the bottom here, so I think it'd be good to replace those before I go too much farther in the project. And then on top of that, I want to come along and put in a polycarbonate roofing on this so that I can hang out under here when it's raining. I'd have a place to hang out in the rain and still be able to work outside and do some things outside. Of course, I could do that in the greenhouse too, but I kind of want this was set up for an outdoor sink. I like it. I kind of want to put my outdoor sink there. I could put some kind of sink thing in the greenhouse. I've been thinking about that. So that certainly could be potentially an option. The problem this time of year, that's cool, like having the greenhouse to go hang out in there when it's raining, or in the cooler fall and in the winter, having a sink in there, I can do some things. That's all cool. But the problem is that in the summer, it's actually way too hot in there. And I open the doors and the windows and stuff, that's fine. But I need a place where I can start seedlings in the summer, and so I need to have that's not that hot, and so I want this more open air space where I can draw maybe some shades underneath is what I'm planning on. So I've probably talked about this before. I've been talking about it a lot, but as you can see, I don't just talk, I do things, but sometimes I do them the hard way, like putting the rafters on backwards. So that's it. I'll give you guys an update when I get farther along with what I'm doing here. Thanks, everyone. This is my lettuce bed here, and there's kind of a horseshoe shaped flower bed back there, and behind the greenhouse is kind of where I keep some more just stuff, plants and pots. Most of these pots have to be washed, but what I use those all those buckets for is for potting soil. So I go through that much potting soil in a season with all the seedlings that I plant. So I get it delivered in bulk, and then I shovel it into those things to keep it isolated from the outdoors for the season. And then I just can open a bin and use it as I will, as I'm potting up things and planting new seedlings. We've had a few frosts here, but as you can see, the lettuce bed seems to be kind of doing okay. I mean, things aren't growing all that fast or anything, except for the arugula, but things are growing a little bit there. But here, I guess I'm a little bit proud of this because I've cleaned up this bed a little bit, put my compost in, and reset the broken bricks as the edging around that. So yeah, this bed here is what I call lilac row. These are lilac trees here, and I need to do more, kind of clean it up a little bit. There's some weeds in there and some old stuff to clean out, and then put some compost in there, and then there's a flower bed behind that to put some more compost in. So still got plenty to do out here, more than I've got time really, but that's because I've sucked up a bunch of my time with this pergola project that I have back here. Well, I guess I can give you a compost update. The compost in here was at a temperature that was quite high before. Now my compost thermometer is saying it's in the steady active range. I mean, that still seems like it's too hot to be really ready to plant in, kind of thing. It was up in the past the green and into the 140 zone when I first got it about a month ago, and so it's cooling down in here. But ideally I've already pulled from this bed and spread it out on some beds, but hopefully this will keep cooling down, and by February, March, certainly by March, hopefully it'll be cool enough that it's fine for my plants. But I was inspired earlier today. I thought, well, there's not that much to see out here, and what there is to see is fairly repetitive at this time of year. But I thought maybe I'd talk about the garden, just talk a little bit about the garden plan, what I'm trying to do, set up for 2021. We're at the very end of 2020 here, and thinking about the garden for 2021. I've got most of my seeds are in already at this point. I've got another order for some tomato seeds and stuff that should be on its way. But I've got things set up, and so I'm thinking about how to do things. So one of the goals here is going to be to widen these beds, just kind of redo them, narrow the paths a little bit. I liked the idea of having the grass paths, but it does create extra work, and for the amount of overall growing space that I have, I've come to kind of realize that I'm not really maximizing the growing space all that much. I mean, I've wanted everything to have a certain look to it, right? So but yeah, it's kind of, I see other gardeners who have less or similar total growing space, total land space, I should say, but then have much more like actual growing going on. So that's one of my goals in this area here, is to turn this area into more growing space with narrower paths. I think I'll keep the grass paths just wide enough for maybe the width of the lawnmower. Right now it's like 2.5 lawnmower widths when I mow it, but I'm not sure. But behind me, kind of the more kind of formalish area where I've got the raised beds with the boards, back there, you know, I've been thinking about how to do my gardening a little bit different this year, and I keep coming back to this idea. It might be a little bit crazy, but I'm thinking about basically doing little mini gardens where each bed is its own little mini garden, and I've got multiple things in the bed. So what I mean by that is, back there on the greenhouse side, I'm thinking about that's where I'll put, at the end of each of those beds, I'll put kind of a nice kind of 6-foot wire trellis type of thing, and then that's where I can grow kind of the winter squash. And so each of these beds would have some winter squash, and then maybe I'll have a little plot, maybe, you know, 4 feet, where I've got maybe some of the corn in each bed, and then from that maybe I'll have some brassica, some like broccolis and cabbages and stuff in each bed, and basically just a little bit of everything in each bed. You know, the sun, this way here is south. No, excuse me, this way here is north, and this is south, and so back there is east, and then over here is the west. And so the sun kind of rises over there and comes up over the top of me during the day, during the growing season, and then will set back over that way, right? And so I think putting kind of the taller stuff back towards the greenhouse will work, because that means all the beds will get the most sun without being shaded by those taller items until kind of later in the day, and then they might get a little bit shaded, but not too much, because at some point the big trees here kind of block out the sun at the very end of the day anyway, no matter what time of year we're in, and that's worked. Yeah, I think that something like that'll work well. So we'll see if I do it and how that goes. I mean, I know obviously one issue is just kind of the harvesting and maintenance of things. You know, you get similar kind of pests on things, and it's nice to have everything in one row. Like normally I would have all the broccoli all in one row, and then I can harvest it all at once. I can check for the kind of pests that are going to affect broccoli, like the cabbage moths and caterpillars and things like that, all right there. But splitting it up might make it so that some things are less prone to pest, is what I'm thinking. So that was just kind of an idea that I had today, is trying growing things in different areas, and see how it goes. So maybe I'll do that. It's still a while before the final planting season, so maybe I'll do something like that, but not all in, and I might change it up a bit. But those are my thoughts. The only other thing I was going to leave you with is back there, the greenhouse is so dismal this time of year. I feel a little bit sad about it, because I mean, it's a place that I've really enjoyed being in and working in a lot of the times, but the reality of it, I've come to realize, is that it is just as cold in the greenhouse as it is outside. There's nothing special about being in the greenhouse, other than, I guess, we do get a lot of breeze and wind here, and so even if it's like 45, it might feel a few degrees colder out here because the wind blowing at you, 45 degrees Fahrenheit, I mean. So you don't have the wind blowing at you in there, so that's cool. But otherwise, yeah, there's not a lot to do in the greenhouse right now, because unless I stick lights in there, and which I've done before, but unless I stick lights in there, put some heating mats and stuff like that, there's nothing special going to grow in there that otherwise isn't growing out here. At least technically that seems to be the case. Overwintering begonias in there, I did it last year and they survived, so I don't know how that's possible, because it does get just as cold in there as it does out here. I've seen some of the leaves in the begonias look like they're getting killed with some frost, but the rest of it seems to be doing okay. So yeah, maybe it's just enough to like keep them alive. Oh well, those are some musings for you, and hope maybe I can interrupt this with some other shots of things around the garden as I'm going. But that's it. I'll see you guys all next time. Bye.